back on with Market Hunters. We are on the platform now. This is part two with Tim, the CEO of Dais. Their stock symbol is DLYT. I know during our part one we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we were able to get Tim back for part two of going through some of his corporate updates and some of the exciting developments that are going on, in the industry, especially when we're talking about, we're coming into the summer. There's a lot of things going on. And as companies are trying to not just, weather the heat, if you will, right, but actually, increase and grow and scale their companies. And one of the resources is obviously capital is always required, but there's a lot of innovation going. It's the personnel. There's a lot of different pillars that are required to help these companies, these innovative companies, grow and become market leaders. So Tim, thanks for coming back for part two of this. And I want to just pick up right where we left off, where you were talking about some of you're working with this multinational corporation. You've got some great products. Talk to us about the next horizon, the next 3 to 5 years with the innovation that you're looking at, because I think that's a good timeline that a lot of our investors look at. A lot of the people that we speak with are always looking at for the long term, 3 to 5 years. So walk us through what we can be expecting as you start increasing your revenues, increasing your profitabilities, and launching new products into the market.
The opportunity from an innovation perspective, from a future perspective, is much like thinking about penicillin, the discovery and where it sits today, the semiconductor, the discovery and where it sits today. The links to those two are incredible. And where it starts is you have a kernel and it just grows exponentially. And the reason that it does is because of the flexibility of the technology. So let me make an analogy. When the semiconductor first came out, it was capable of doing not very much, but there were a couple of people thought ahead. Did they ever think it would get into sneakers? Probably not. But did they think it would get into phones and revamp all the things we do today in business? Look at all the computers. We're all in the computer business. Look at that. Everybody's using. The point is that people saw that. They saw the ability, if the semiconductor did, or the transistor moved from transistor to semiconductor, they could change industries. That's where we are with Aqualite because of the abilities that it has. And it's very simple, really. It's a complex technology, but the idea behind it is very simple. You're using features and managing those features of a plastic, highly efficient, to replace breakable, energy-consuming, emissions-producing components in products today. That's one side I was looking at it. There are others that say that, well, you're going to change an entire industry. So you say, okay, next 3 to 5 years, let's bring this in focus down to, human level as opposed to 50,000 feet. It's very simple. You're going to reinvent what we know today as air conditioning. You are going to change the way people use water.
Right.
Very, very fundamental things in our culture. And what we say we're doing is we're protecting the things that are key to our life. We extend the lifetime of foods. How do you do that? How do you link that to air conditioning? Simple, It's the same material, but you use it differently.
Right.
So it's limited by the imagination, by the partnerships that you make, and the people. The people are so important that you hire. The people are the biggest asset that you absolutely have. Forget patents and the rest of it. It's all people. So in sum, you look out the next 3 to 5 years, you get the resources that are required, and that's a key point that I want to make. You have the ability to change the way that people treat their air conditioning inside of their homes, their businesses, and you do it in a way that not only is more logical from the standpoint of the technology of the process itself, but it also delivers you things that allow you to be smarter, proven. Things that allow you to be safer, proven. And that's the beauty of it, is that you're talking about a material set that's defined. You know what its capabilities are. So now you're extending it out into applications, revenue-producing applications. So in my opinion, it's one of the rare opportunities to do the right thing for the world and all the nice things associated with that. And I'm not downplaying that. It's just that I think too many companies hang their hat on, I'm going to change this. That's fine. I want to do it monetarily. I want to make the shareholders, I want to make them rich. I want this to be the first Google or first Amazon in the clean tech space. We have that ability, and we need people to support us. And that's where we are. I mean, we've taken a long time to get the technology right. That was painful, expensive, and it's always going to change, but it's there. We have it. Let's go. Let's go. The market is there. The markets have changed 180 degrees in the last 2 to 3 years. Just incredible.
No,
I, we,
it
I
really
look at
is
the people
incredible, Tim.
working with today in this large multinational company. Um, the way that whole thing went would have never happened 2 years ago. Never.
Right.
I'm
Well,
really happy there.
yeah, I think it's a testament to, innovation, obviously in America, but innovation in a sector that affects everyday lives. And as a testament, I can tell you, having spoken with hundreds of companies, at least by now, and a lot of the conversations and seeing the innovations. When you look at water and you look at food and you look at, even in building supplies, shelter, you're taking two very, very important pillars within the sustainability of human life. And I think that's pretty incredible. Now, one of the things for, just the realistic
Excuse me,
everyday.
before you leave that point though, Hunter, make
Yeah,
sure that the other part of this is recognized. This is not just air conditioning in a
right,
house or a building. This is any cooling. So you're talking refrigeration, you're
right,
talking cars, you're talking trains, buses, even planes. Even it would
right.
be a 4.5 year event to get approved in a plane. But there's no reason that it won't do what it has to do.
Right. Well, no, and that's where I'm saying from an innovation standpoint, one of the most important things about new technology is awareness. And so the
Mhm.
more that you can create market awareness, and the more that you can create awareness on any issue, or any type of how technology can solve an issue, I think is fundamentally important, and it's a driving factor. What I really like about Dais, just from my own personal thing, is food waste. We've talked a lot about food waste before, and with the ability to be in the CRISPR, George, to where you know even now when you're in the grocery store, it says best if used by, right? But if you can just get a little extra time right out of it, that can go a long way, especially when that affects a lot of the middle markets, right? Especially when people are concerned about the rising cost of food and the rising cost of dairy and a lot of these other things that are going on. It's technologies like what Dais offers that helps solve or at least mitigate a lot of those problems that can cause an industry. And that's really what I like personally, if I had to be totally selfish on it. I know there's tons of other uses, and getting in airplanes and cars and all that would be great, but just the ability for food waste, because more people could get food, more people can be fed, and we can eliminate a lot of the hunger issues that are out there. And I think that's very important, especially in the school systems as well, right? You can have more nutritious foods, longer lasting foods, fruits and vegetables, et cetera. So I think that's
Right.
very,
But
very.
I want to take that and I want to use that because you just, thank you so much. You just, beautiful segue, because you mentioned schools and you talk about what you can do. You've got the air conditioning application. You can make it healthier for them to be in the building, right?
Yes.
Second thing is the food that you just mentioned. But now think about PFAS, all these little forever chemicals in the water. You can put a system in a school that treats the water that people are going to drink. And if any place is more important than the future leaders of our country, I don't know where. But you talk about this is why this is a technology that can develop around a number of different things, and we're doing it. But we're 23 people constantly looking for money, looking for abilities to grow. The people that are watching this have so much influence in channels. For instance, do they sit on a school board? That's one question. How about a board at a hospital? Things of that nature. Open the door. And I'll say this right here. If people want to help us doing that, we'll make sure they're compensated in a way. You open a door and we get a sale, fine. It's just that much better for all of us. Simple.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a rising tide helps all lifts all ships mentality, and I very much am a big
Yeah.
fan of that. So, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're on Twitter or you're on LinkedIn, or you've seen an interview that I've done with Tim and you want to get in touch, feel free to reach out to our offices. We'll put you in touch with the company. Also, if you go back, I encourage you, listen to part one, listen to our interviews. They're on the Market Hunters Live podcast. It sits there. As long as YouTube doesn't take them down, I don't know why they would. They are there. So you can go back and you can listen to this. We go in depth into the different technologies. And if you want to contact the company, you can reach out to Tim and their team. You can follow them on Twitter. You can go to daisanalytic.com. You can follow their stock symbol, which is DLYT. And like he said, I think that's actually a really great point from the art of collaboration, if you will. And that's, if you're watching this and you're on Twitter and you're sitting on a school board and you want more information, reach out to Dais. If you are inside of an organization that wants to, let's say you're a large manufacturer. I know we have people on here that own some very large manufacturing facilities. If you want to cut down your energy consumption, right, by creating, a better and healthier and cleaner environment, but also reducing your energy costs, reach out to Dais, right? I mean, and there's a lot of these things. If you are in some aspect of the HVAC business and want to get more information about, the type of membranes that they have and what they're doing, which is different from everyone else, which is very unique, reach out to Dais. So that's, I think, how it starts and how it spreads, and go from there. So Tim, talk a little bit about, I know the PFAS thing is a very big thing. We've talked about this. Europe, we've talked about this in the past. I mean, they basically came out and said, look, in the next 2 years or something, you have to have the elimination of all PFAS in, there's no PFAS in Europe, right? I don't know.
Correct.
And everything,
Yes.
plastic. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they replace it. But what is the message that you have from answering the PFAS problem here in the United States and abroad?
It's coming. It's something that's going to be, in my opinion, based on how fast the US EPA and their peers around the world are moving, which is lightning speed for them. It appears it's going to be a big thing. And the problems that it's causing or has caused are really being sounded out rapidly. It's bad as far as human beings are concerned. It gets in your bloodstream. It does a lot of things to women in terms of childbearing. It's not good. So people are going to struggle with how to do this as fast as they can. And in my opinion, it's going to take a while for the municipal utilities and the water companies, and even in major industry to get their hands around what is it we're actually doing. Please explain this to me, because it's incredibly complex. It's not as simple in some ways as regular water, cleaning contaminated water, because of the nature of these. And it's not only water that's the issue, it's the product that it makes. And this is, you mentioned the UK. One of the prevailing materials used in electrolyzers, fuel cells, everything that people are banking on for the future, it contains PFAS. Perfluorinated ionomer, fancy term, it
Right.
contains PFAS. You have got to stop using those things. Okay, so there's another opportunity for Dais, because we started originally, the company was making fuel cells, but there was no market for it, so we went into other things. Okay, so now full circle, all right, electrolyzers and fuel cells, another application of the material. It works well.
Yeah, I think that's a very important aspect too, because I mean, we look at a lot of the new, compressed hydrogen and compressed natural gases we're seeing in buses, and these new hydrogen fuel cells and all these different things we talk about, especially with this whole, ESG push that we're seeing go on, and the sustainability and all of these things. But once again, as you just said, it's action. What are we actually doing? What is
There
the
you go. And the reason I say that, excuse me, just that's an important point. I'll tell you why. Because we don't look at this, Dais doesn't approach this from the standpoint that, well, we're going to need government support to make this work. We're not looking for handouts from the federal government in terms of paying people to use the technology. We want the technology to stand on its own, and we want to sell it not based on fear, but based on knowledge. So many people approach this whole issue of climate change. Oh, we're going to die. Yeah, we are. But you know what? That doesn't help. Get the histrionics out of it. Approach it realistically. It's a business. You have technology that works, use it. And at the same time, save yourself some money, be healthier and safer. Boom, done.
Yep, and it provides a well needed shareholder value.
Well, that's the thing. You want to talk about shareholder value. My God, if every one of us could start with Google when it first started, I actually happened to start with Microsoft simply because I got married that year. Yeah, it's incredible. And that's where I believe the people that work with us, the board, a lot of our customers, this multinational company, when we can finally talk more about it, they're our biggest cheerleaders. My God, it's incredible. So it's there. We need to take our advantage of it. People have chided me personally for not being innovative enough and speaking about the largesse. Okay, I accept that. And the reason I do that is I don't want to become the next Ms. Holmes, joining myself on a block in the state of Texas for 11 years. But that's one part. The other part of it is that there's credibility that you lose in doing that, in my opinion. And okay, now as we're moving forward, we can take the gloves off a little bit and start doing more of that type of thing. It's here. It's a wonderful opportunity. Conserve's a great business, but you got to get the business up and going first, and you got to stop talking about superlatives. So we need the resources, the people, the inventory, all of that, the underpinnings of a business to rapidly grow. And you say, okay, you're doing $2 or $3 million a year now, $4 million a year. That's peanuts. Yes, it is. You can exponentially move that, but it's going to require resource to do it. And it's really, really tight around people. So that's where we are. The opportunity is magnificent. Anybody that wants to kick the tires in terms of the technology, it exists. We're not developing the basic technology itself. That exists. It's proven. It works. If you want to see a conserve system, you want to see what we call an air conditioning system. It's called nano air with everything built into it. It's here. It's a little demonstration unit. It runs every day. We're building hours on it. We're building bigger versions of it. We're building intermediary pieces, much larger. Uh, it's here. The water, same thing. The NanoFresh, same thing. It's here. We just need to get it out there and the help to do that. So there are people
Well,
that are on this call. And one of them, I want to say that you mentioned a couple of different people, different types of people. A doctor who is in touch with a lot of different companies because that's the way he is. That's the way he approaches life. That's the way he approaches business. He puts himself in a position where he creates the opportunity. Go to a company that is in the air conditioning space and explain to them about what Dais is doing. Open that door. He's done that. And in addition, he's done some very, very nice things personally. But the point is, that's the type of support. Somebody just wants to make a phone call on our behalf. Again, we'll compensate them. I have no problem. I think it's a great thing.
Well, look, I think it's really great, Tim, on what you're doing with Dais. I think the future, with massive market adoption would be, great. And it's just a matter of doing the right business development, getting the right, this is where our step is, right? It's creating that awareness. It's getting the message out in such a way to where this is an actual conversation. This is what the Market Hunter podcast is all about. This is why we do this. It's to be able to have these conversations, to go deep, not be surface level and say, hey, we're a company, we've got some cool innovations. Okay, well, that really doesn't help me, right? What helps me is understanding what the actual real world practical applications of these organizations are, what they're able to do, and what the benefit is. Because when we look at it from an investment standpoint, we look at our pillars of product, we look at the people, we look at the market, and then we look at how do we disseminate information and product through a network. And I think that's very, very important. So, Tim, as always, we think it's great to have you on the program. We love it when we can talk and follow the company with all the innovation. So I'll give you the last word here. Anything you want to leave with our audience today?
Two things. The first is happy 4th of July. It's a very, very wonderful time for us to spend a few minutes chatting about these things because just like the founding of the U.S. and what's taken place over the past over hundreds of years, that's what's happening in a microcosm today of the technology that we have. So thank you for joining. And the second thing is, Hunter, to you. You mentioned a minute ago awareness. What you're doing is incredibly important, and I thank you for everything. We've got a lot invested in this, the two of us, a lot of other people. They're my good friends. So we've got a wonderful opportunity that we're working with. And I thank you for shaping it, getting it out there. I receive a lot of calls and messages from people, and they reference your show. And to the people that do send the message, I don't get back to everybody immediately because I'm a little busy sometimes, but I will get back to you eventually. So, Hunter, that's it. My 2 points. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And everybody, thank you for your support and hang in there with us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim, and I appreciate that. And we'll look forward to having you on the program very, very soon. Again, thank you, Tim. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the program today. Once again, wishing everyone a happy 4th of July. Take some time with your family, take some time with your friends. And, if you have some downtime and you want to share this interview, share the conversations around. We really like bringing this type of information to you because really these companies are the backbone of this country. It's these companies that help lift the total innovation of the power of the American marketplace and the power of innovation here. So as always, this is Hunter Gaylor from Market Hunters and is coming to you live right here on the 4th of July. 4th of July weekend. And we just thank you for all your support, and continue liking, sharing, and subscribing. We'll come back to you very soon.